When you need a disclaimer, you know you're doing something right. And really, whenever you have fans that are willing to defend you really to the death, you also know that you're doing something right as a group. Meshuggah is a band that over the past 20 to 25 years has definitely illuminated the heavy metal scene with their unique blend. Something that, whenever they first came out, was seen as positively unique, that is eventually, as the time has worn on toward the latter part of the 2000s, first part of the 2010s, has given birth to an entire subgenre of music, that being in the form of djent. This is a group that has gotten positive reaction for most of their career. And really, it's only recent that you've gotten a lot more people that have been on board the wagon and really displacing some of their disapproval for Meshuggah. And a lot of the reasons definitely seem to be based off of things that really the band has no control over or has happened as a result of their sound. I'm coverkillernation, and we're going to take a look today at 5 reasons why people have claimed that they hate Meshuggah. And this is definitely going to be interesting. So strap in, and if your pants get a little bit, poopy because of bad opinions, get those fingers ready for the comments below. The fifth reason is that their sound is overbearing. This is one that has been a little less frequented, hence why it's so low on the list, but there are many that feel that this sound that Meshuggah is able to bear is a bit of just a clusterfucked chaos. And it's based around the fact that they use some of those different polyrhythms, some of those different time signatures in order to really create and craft a unique soundscape. It's one of the things that is Meshuggah's hallmark. But really, those that have this opinion are basing it simply around the fact that it sounds a little bit disjointed, even though most of us who enjoy the band are able to see some of the connections that are sort of put together whenever you combine a couple of those polyrhythms, a couple of those time signatures together on different tracks. These are folks that can't get into it because that overly complex idea sort of blends and destroys their sort of simplified concept of what music is all about. Maybe they're 4/4 plebes in the eyes of prog snobs. Either that or those that feel that simple changes or ones that are a little bit more expected or that make a little bit more quote-unquote musical sense are the only ones that really matter. Maybe these are Dream Theater worshippers, or maybe they're Katy Perry worshippers. Either which way, they say this is the reason that they can't get into Meshuggah, and it's really a shame considering they're missing something that's pretty special. Number 4 is the vocals, which is amazing to me. The reason that's been cited for this is that they are static and that they are boring. And that is what blows my mind even more further. It's incredible to me that they feel that the vocals that are employed on Meshuggah songs are being described with those 2 adjectives, static and boring. These are definitely vocals that have a lot of power behind them, a lot of register. They have to match up 100% with some of the unique rhythms that are being really presented. It goes back to some of those time signature ideas, and really the voice is being used as its own instrument, which has been cited by Meshuggah themselves, so it itself is able to function as its own instrument, really have its own patterns in order to really deliver a different experience for each and every song. To call it static and boring may only be based around the idea that it's not going to highs and lows and really overextending itself. It's instead one that remains within a very good zone. That way it can be used to its highest level and highest degree, functioning and really focusing a lot more on the way in which it's being delivered, the way in which the power is being emitted from the voice, how that instrument is being tailored and tuned for each song, as opposed to just trying to use some over-the-top heroics. To call this static is really kind of silly. To call it boring is just downright wrong. So these are folks that definitely need a nice slap in the face. Either that or, once again, maybe they're the aforementioned Katy Perry lovers, and, they needed to go in order for them to be happy. Bunch of jacking, wanking, planking. Number 3, thanks for djent, boys. This one is downright stupid. Remember how I told you that some of these were going to have to do with things that the band has no control over? Well, here you go. Welcome to the fun, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot of folks that hate Meshuggah simply because they gave us djent, and they don't like djent. That's all the more explanation that I really need to give. I don't need to say much more than that. They hate Meshuggah because Meshuggah was the inspiration that was used by bands such as Periphery and Tesseract, etc. For djent. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. And with that, I am just going to stare dumbfoundedly into the camera for 5 seconds and then do something else. Fuck you. Number 2, the elitist attitude that has been taken toward this band. And this is kind of like the fan base argument, only it's with a very specific tailor to this, and that's really that this is a band that has really done nothing wrong, that has really always been a very legendary group ever since albums such as Destroy, Erase, and Prove, ever since albums such as Nothing, albums such as I. It's something that resurfaced a little bit again with The Violent Sleep of Reason, which just came out in 2016. It's something where the fans of this group will defend them absolutely to the death. And really, once again, my question to this is, what the hell is wrong with that? If you have a great love for a band, you certainly should be able to put forward that love. I guess the problem that is being cited by these detractors is the fact that they take things to the next level, essentially stating that if you are not a fan of Meshuggah, if you think that Meshuggah is a group that just doesn't speak to you or just you don't think is all of that good, then you're downright wrong. You have no taste in music. Your ears must be bleeding. Either that or you must be deaf. And even deaf people like Meshuggah, so you must be dumb while it is. So you're deaf and dumb. You're also stupid in their opinion. And you might also be blind, considering you should be able just to see that this music is incredible. Either which way, whichever sense is really being offended by the fact that they don't like Meshuggah, this is a reason why fans are not willing to sort of come back to this band, or should I say detractors aren't willing to come back and give this band a try with each passing album, considering they've already had a negative experience with the fan base, when in reality, everything should be all about the music. Some of these folks also feel that the band is just not for them, either based around the overly complex structures that we heard about in number 5, either that, or it's just a tone that's not really suited for what they think that heavy metal is all about or music is all about. There's just some folks out there that there are people that don't like the Beatles, and that's just how it is. And it doesn't mean that they should really be castrated, you know, verbally for it. But with that being said, the fan base definitely takes control whenever it comes to Meshuggah, and there are a lot of folks out there that are also fantastic whenever it comes to trying to explain themselves with this group. There are a lot of very literate individuals that give some terrific reasons why Meshuggah is considered as highly praised as they are, but that is something that can sometimes be perceived as arrogance. Number 1, they are not as amazing as all the fanboys say that they are. This goes right again with number 2, and like you've seen with number 3, number 2, and number 1, these are all things that the band has absolutely no control over. The band themselves is just going out there and kicking ass, making terrific music, basically playing shows, doing what they like, and really trying to innovate a little bit in the process. Each album has a little bit of something more than the previous album is able to possess, and if it's something that doesn't happen, then the fans definitely let them know about it. But based around the same idea, there are many that are in the community of heavy metal fans that don't like Meshuggah simply because they're being hyped to the moon. It's the Radiohead effect, as I would like to call it, whereas everybody was really praising Radiohead to the moon and back in the latter portion of the 90s, really into the 2000s. Hell, you even see that a little bit today, though it's been tempered quite a bit. And everybody else that is listening to this basically is that they don't understand why they're being praised in such a high regard. Meshuggah is one of the groups that definitely has that same level, although it's definitely in smaller numbers than you get within the Radiohead effect, should I say, but either way, it's still enough to really annoy some metal fans to no end. And based around that, this is one of the biggest reasons why folks either hate the band or won't listen to the band or stop listening to the band. They simply feel that they're being treated a little bit too overly loved. You know, they are a band that is overrated based around that idea. In fact, I believe that they were even on one of my 10 or more overrated heavy metal bands video from 3 to 4 years ago, and people went crazy and nuts about it. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad group, it just means that a lot of people praise this group to the moon, to the point where it gets a little bit overly excessive. Meshuggah fans are very passionate. That's the one thing that I'm going to give for their credit. And once again, like I said in number 2, a lot of them are able to discuss the band very civilly with very great literacy. But there are those that, of course, are just the bad apples of every bunch. The ones that ruin everything. The ones that cause these different types of opinions to really breed, considering they're the ones that are so overly outlandish and in your face that it's the one that's instantly memorable. Are you going to remember the literal individual that was able to give you 25 different examples as to why Meshuggah was fantastic? Or are you going to remember the asshole that basically told you that your mother conceived you wrong based around the fact that you don't like a band? Jesus Christ. Either way, this is one of the biggest reasons why Meshuggah has detractors and will maintain detraction based around the idea that they just simply don't think that the band is all that good musically and that the fans are just a little bit out of control whenever it comes to their love. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 5 reasons why Meshuggah is seen by some as not the greatest thing to ever walk the heavy metal universe. If you think that there's a reason that was left out, leave it in the comments below. If there's a band that you think needs roasted, toasted, and burnt to a crisp via one of these episodes, also leave that in the comments below. My name is coverkillernation, and a lot of you are probably going to hate me after this video, but I hope you read the disclaimer before it started, because you realize that you're the asshole, not me. Take care.